Okay, I talked briefly about the second marriage, which was a hot mess. Um, it was a hot mess, and so yeah, I always have these, in the midst of me transitioning from God telling me to leave Flint to come to Texas, doing my research or whatnot, getting everything together, closing my business down, packing up my home. I got connected with supposedly another man of God, came in to help me do a lot of things, mind you, because I felt rejected from family. I didn't have a lot of support. I didn't have help. And the guy came on in and he started helping me. He was an older man. Started helping me with a lot of different things, which was a blessing. So it helped me close my business down, sell a lot of different things, helped me pack my house up or whatnot. And we end up crossing the line with him, but I end up finding out he wasn't right. I got in my flesh, which is something that I know I shouldn't be doing, but this is just my story. This is my journey, and this is what happened. So I connected with him, and he wasn't right. And I found out he was doing a lot of things. He got a copy of my he made a copy of my key to my business and came in there and stole some things from me. Stole my a lot of different files that I had. Stole my safe. I don't know why he did this stuff to me, but he did. And I had to go get it. I got that stuff back from him. End up finding out the man was married and a lot of different things. This is me on my journey trying to come here, trying to do better, trying to still walk with God, and I'm still having all this stuff come up against me. So like I say, me and my husband connected. We started talking, and God showed me him, and God spoke to me and said, that's gonna be your husband, right? So I was like, okay, this is gonna be my husband. I ain't even thinking about no man right now. I'm thinking about really trying to get up out of here, doing the stuff that I need to do. So me trying to save up my money, I end up getting pre-approved for a home. So my whole goal was to come down here and buy a home and start over, start my business or whatnot. But when God connected me to my husband, spoke to me about him, I was going to go to Dallas, but I just kind of changed it up. I said, well, God, I'm getting these prophecies about this husband relocating. And instead of going to Dallas, I decided to go to Houston. So I'm in Houston. I come to Houston. And when I came to Houston and met, my husband at the time, it was so crazy how we connected. It was like he met me because I was going to like a extended stay. I didn't have no plan, y'all. I was just so broke, and I was like, I got to get up out of there, whatever I got to do. So I came here. He met me. He ended up paying for the extended stay, and he was like, God told me to take care of you. He's like, God told me to take care of you. Don't you worry about nothing. I was like, oh, okay. Well, God told me to, oh, okay. So he was like, I don't want you to be stressed about nothing. Let me take care of you. So he's paying for my extended stay. I'm freshly down here. And this is crazy. This is going to be crazy. It's going to sound a little crazy. But he started telling me, yeah, God showed him I was his wife as well, right? God shared the same things with me. So I'm like, okay. He was like, we need to, he was like, babe, I want to, I'd rather get married. Let's get married now, like type of fast. And I was like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm embracing the new beginnings because I'm dealt with a lot of drama, a lot of fraudulent things and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay. He was like, I want to get married. Let's do it now because I don't want to be shacking up and none of that, right? So y'all, it ain't even been, it's probably been about a week. It's been a week. I'm down here. We go to the courthouse to get the information. We go in there to see, the steps we need to take to get married. They tell us we can marry y'all today. We get married. Look, but we standing in front of this courthouse, right? So I was like, we got the paperwork. We left out the courthouse and we standing there. And he was just like, I just want to go and get married now. I said, you sure? I don't know about that. I don't know if we should wait. Even though I did, we heard God, but let's give it some time. He wanted to get married. He wanted to get married right now. So I did. I got married. I got married to him. And I felt okay. I felt the peace about it. I felt peaceful. And we got in there. He prayed. We held hands. We got, married in front of the judge. And he prayed. And he was like, Lord, please, cover this. I'm thinking it's all God. I'm like, this is all God. Thank you, Lord. And I don't care what nobody got to say. I got down here. Oh, well, I got married again fast. Why did I do that again? I don't know. I just felt like because when I heard God, I had even more confirmation. I made stupid mistakes before. So many dumb, stupid mistakes in the past. But I did this.
And before you go, how long had you waited for this marriage? How many years?
It was probably like 8 years.
Okay,
yeah, that was my 8 years, something like that. Might have been longer, but yeah. And we got married. And this is crazy. We go back to the room because I'm still in an extended stay, y'all. So he was staying in a mission house. I just got down here. I'm in an extended stay hotel. After we get married, we go back to the extended stay hotel. And we call ourselves celebrating our marriage, right? So we go get some wine. And I'm in the room. We in the room talking. And we're supposed to have been happy, having our little honeymoon, per se. Not a real honeymoon, but we're celebrating that we just got married. And, he started asking me questions. Who I've been with, sexually and all this other stuff. And he was like, did you deal with them people unprotected? Or did you do this? He's asking me stupid, questions. And I was just like, because we buzzed. I'm like, why would you wait to ask me something like that? Why you ain't ask me this? We should have been getting to know each other. We've been talking all this time. Why you just not ask me these questions? And it made me feel some type of way. And I got to thinking about it, and we end up going through the rest of our night, enjoying the night. And I kind of let it go. But that next morning, it just kind of bothered me. I'm like, why would he ask me that? It made me kind of feel low. It didn't make me feel good, the questions he was asking me. And I think because he was buzzed up, he was asking me, and he thought because I was buzzed up that I'd probably overlook it or no. But my senses, I'm like, I'm paying attention. Just because I'm buzzed up don't mean I'm paying attention or I'm a different person. It's just like, and I really didn't have the voice to ask him, like, or to tell him to stop asking me crazy questions like that. Like, why would he even want to do that? So the next day, I'm like, still kind of feeling some type of way about it. The energy is different now. This is the very next day we got married. The energy is different. And I'm like, I go in the bathroom. And in that bathroom was my place that I, spend time with God. So I got to crying out to him in worship. I brought my phone in there, worshiping him, playing worship songs. And I cried out to the Lord. Like, man, I feel so low. I feel so disgusted. I made some mistakes in my past. I shared with this man everything, and now he's making me feel some type of way about who I am. Like, this is somebody I just married, though. Like, all these different thoughts is going through my head. I'm crying out. I was in there for hours on that floor. And I got up. He was just sitting there when I got up. When I came up out the bathroom, he was sitting in the chair quiet. I'll go down stairs to the pool area. So it's hot. It's really hot outside in Texas. And I'm sitting there. Ain't nobody at the pool area with me. The Holy Spirit. Me and the Holy Spirit. And that's when God started ministering to me about my purpose. He was like, I called you to women. And he was like, broken women from all walks of life. He said, to the street walkers, to the ones in the corporate office, I'm calling you to empower them. And it's a reason, why you're going through what you're going through. And I can just see the Holy Spirit moving up top of the water. It was just so amazing. It was just me and God. And it brought a peace up, after I cried out. I was in that peaceful place with him. I said, okay, God. He was telling me my purpose. Like, this is what I want you to do down here. I was like, wow. And the thing that we don't realize is sometimes God allows us to go through pain for his purpose. And a lot of things in the situations that we get ourselves in, sometimes, it works together for God's purpose for our lives. So I went back up to that room. And he kind of apologized. And I kind of shared some things with him about what God was saying. And I kind of let it go. But then he said something else. He used to have his little things where he would say, did you come here, were you sitting here to destroy me? That's what he would say to me. I was like, why would I be sitting here to destroy you? And he asked me, he was like, what are your deal breakers? And I said, for somebody to call me something that I'm not, and he did that. He did that the majority of our relationship. He started insinuating that something was wrong with me, like I was crazy. That didn't happen. I said, yeah, it did. I'm looking at you do this. How you telling me this ain't happening? It is happening. And then he was like, I know that didn't happen to you. I said, yeah, it did happen. And then, he would say certain things and I'll be like, no, I am perfectly sane. So you trying to insinuate something wrong with me. Ain't nothing wrong with me. I know who I am. So, it's so funny how people will come into your life to learn you just to try to tear you down, even when because I wasn't even at my full potential. I was clearly broken, but it's like you trying to break me down even more. Like, what is going on here? And but in front of the light and the cameras and stuff like that, you rolling with your anointing, you preaching, you doing all this, but behind closed doors, you broken too. And you're trying to tear, and instead of us coming together, trying to heal each other and come together, you're tearing me down because you're not owning up to what you got going on. Now, I owned up to all my flaws. You know what I done shared with you all this stuff that happened to me prior to me coming, shared to you all my things that I was shameful of and all that. And then when it comes to you owning up to who you are, you can't even own up to it, but you making me feel even worse than I am. I was just like, that was crazy. So I would pray to God. I was like, God, this is hard. Like, this is hard. But, and I reached out to a couple of people. And they was like, well, he your ministry. It was just like nothing. Like, that's you gotta minister to him. That's your ministry. But when your covering is tearing you down and they tapped into some stuff that's not of God, how is that even ministry? Like, I don't know. It's so weird. So, yeah, but I have some really, good times with him too, but far as us, coming together, really trying to walk with God, that was the whole plan of me transitioning anyway, trying to do things differently when I came down here. God is calling me to this place. And, it was fake, it was like, I believe initially, he got with me, but then over time, I think things were changing. I don't know what changed. Maybe his perception of me changed. I don't know. He tapped into something. I don't know what changed, but I know I still heard God's voice. And even through all of that, what we were going through, I just kept going back to what I heard God say. That's going to be your husband. And I know it ain't going to be easy, so I just stood there with him, and it was several different times in that relationship where, I had a lot of insecurities, and I did too. But I didn't see. I wasn't looking at the control. It was control. I couldn't leave and go nowhere without asking him. Oh, I'll go to the corner. I'll go around the corner to the store. He calling me. Where you? He popping up at the store. I don't know where he came from out the blue, but he behind me. What you doing here? I'm like, I'm picking up a piece of pizza. I'm picking up a pizza. Like, what are you behind me? Like, where did you come from? Why you ain't calling me and let me know where you was going? I don't have to call you unless you know I'm going around the corner per se, but he was very controlling. I seen that, and I had to deal with that. I had to deal with being controlled by somebody that was very insecure. So
do you think it was more that y'all went into it too fast?
Oh, I absolutely, because I just wanted, at that point, I was so broken. Of course, I wanted to be loved. It wasn't even about the love thing. It was for me, of course, I felt like we moved fast. But for me, it was like, back to, I heard God. So no matter if we move fast, because God said it, in that moment. But then when we get into our trials, it's like, oh, shoot, we should have slowed it down.
So you felt like,
really got to know each other.
Yeah.
We didn't know each other.
Right.
In the midst of that relationship, there was a lot of stuff going on behind closed doors. Me being controlled. I don't want you traveling, or I don't want you doing that. I don't want you doing this. And you try to honor somebody and what they want. He wasn't secure enough with me traveling or whatnot. I don't know why.
Did you know how you feel like your voice was taken again?
Oh yeah. I definitely didn't have no voice with him, but I felt like, okay, let me try to do this thing differently. God, you said it, and I'm gonna let him lead. Because biblically, it tells us to let the man lead, and we honor him and his decisions. I definitely knew it was a lot of spiritual warfare. Like I say, he was a prophet, and I am too. Being a seer of God and he being a prophet. But when I realized it was coming up against what God is trying to tell me to do, he told me one time, mind you, we would do videos. Now, I don't like to do videos. I'm doing this because I feel like it's the right thing to do. I'm overcoming, and I'm at the point where I healed enough. I can get on camera and talk about my crazy choices and the decisions that I made. And I want to do it with you because you have a purpose. I know what God is doing here. But I wouldn't, when I was with him doing the videos, I was like, okay, of course, I'm letting him lead and do his thing in the videos. But when that camera cut off, it's all acting. You sitting here and you talking in front of the camera. But when that camera coming off, I said, well, babe, don't you think we should sit down and study what we getting ready to start teaching? Like, if we going to do this for real, like, because it's a lot of stuff that I don't know. We got to read. And study, but he had it in him. Like, he know that word. He got it in him, cool. But you sitting down with your wife, you need to help me, and we can help each other. We can learn together. I was like, so how's we really being led if we're not really spending time in the word before we get up and do a video? And he was like, no, just follow my lead. It was all me following his lead. And whenever I had an input and said some things like, well, maybe you should do this, or maybe we should do that. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I was being shut down. I didn't even really, he didn't want my perspective or input on it. And another thing he told me, he was like, you don't have no ministry. He said, you don't have no ministry. Your ministry is my ministry now. I said, God has called me to women. I know when I came here and I was about that pool area, and God was sitting here telling me, after I felt like you degraded me. God told me my purpose, and I already knew this was my purpose, but he told me in a deeper light, like, this is because God will shift you into a new thing. It's still women, but he said, nah, I'm calling you. to a different state for all women. And I said, well, God called me to women. What you mean? Your purpose is my purpose now. And he was like whooping me with the word, getting different scriptures telling me, well, yeah, he was just taking the scriptures all out of content and telling me and trying to make it, hitting me with that word. That's what it was. But it was so dark. I was like, oh, the devil is a liar. I'm like, wow, this is really happening to me. Yeah, I didn't have a purpose. He wanted to use my gifts for what he was doing. And I was like, yeah, this is so weird.
Was he doing ministry?
Yeah, he was doing ministry. He would go to the different juveniles, like a lot of street ministry. He wasn't in a church at all. Wasn't, because we were supposed to be outreach pastors for this church, and he kept coming up against it, making up different reasons why he didn't want to get involved, procrastinating on us getting involved in the church down here. And I was ready to do mission work and stuff like that, and just really, follow my husband. I was ready to do that. He didn't want to do all that. He said he did, but then he started switching it up, acting like the people wasn't, we know the difference between religion and relationship, but for him, it was more so he wanted to control and do his own thing. I think, God clearly wasn't in that. Well, he was drifting off to. Yeah, and it got so crazy. It's tearing me down so much with his words. And mind you, I'm already trying to heal. I could say we were both a hot mess. I did some things that I know I shouldn't have did, but my heart intentionally, I wasn't trying to hurt him. I was just in a broken stage where I was depressed. I didn't even want to get out the bed half the time. And he was taking care of everything. He was taking care of me. Like, I'm going to take care of you because I don't want you to travel and go here. I don't want you to do that. So when I made myself dependent on him, I got to the point I didn't even have my truck registered. I ain't have none of that. I was driving his cars, doing stuff like that. And when he...
So that was his way of taking care of you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was his way of... Because he was like, it's going to get better. No, and then another thing, he's like, God told me that you need to focus on your business here, not Flint no more. And I was like, yeah, okay. I'm like, well, I was going to still travel because I got consistent clientele in Michigan, and I still travel back and forth, but he didn't want me to do that. He's like, I want you to focus on this. But then when I did focus on it and I end up getting a little space when I first got down here, it failed. It failed within 3 months. Like, couldn't afford it. He was paying for it out of his pocket because he wanted me to do that. But I don't think God wanted that, and it failed. And when I brought it back to him, I said, well, God, if you say God said it, because when God do stuff, like, I've been prospering all my life. Like, when I step out on faith, I know what happens when I step out on faith because God is with me. But it was just like kind of like a red flag. Like, okay, why is it failing? Where's my clientele? Like,
what did he say?
He was just like, babe, I'm sorry. He admitted, he apologized. He was like, I don't know. I was just trying. I did hear God. I felt his heart in that. He felt bad. It's like that's just like every time we got in an argument or something, we had a lot of things going on. And he would, one thing, we used to always be able to come together and talk about certain things. And he would apologize when he was wrong about certain stuff, but certain stuff he didn't. He was just stubborn about. Like when it came to having, holding himself accountable, no. Yeah. So, I don't know. That was crazy, but he was definitely trying to control. I was being controlled.
He was just trying to be submissive.
Submissive, yeah. I was, because I was like, well, God, I kept going back to, I heard what you said, God. You said this, and I wasn't even thinking about no marriage, and the way it's just happening. So yeah. And then another thing about that, when I was writing my book, he didn't want me to, it was a lot of stuff that happened with that. He didn't want me to write my book. He assumed that I was going to be writing about him, and I wasn't even thinking about writing about him. I was writing about my story. But then all the warfare, and after all that, I was like, oh yeah, he got to be in the book. Now I got to put you, you a part of this book now. You a part of my story. You a part of the book. And he was embarrassed. I can't believe So when I released my book, we was already separated. We wasn't divorced, but we were separated. And he came to get a copy of my book just to read what I put in the book. He wasn't trying to support me in the book, but just trying to get insight on what I put in there about him, or having something to say about me and my upcoming, just weapons to probably try to use against me. That's what I believe the reason why he came back and got the book. But I felt so bad because I put some things in that book, and it's so sad that you feel bad when you tell your truth. But I was just trying not to expose him and myself, because it was a lot of stuff that I could have put in that book that I didn't. And it was some things that I put in there about certain situations with him and me that I took out the book. And my editor was like, well, Kenya, why are you taking it out? Why are you taking it out the book? And I was like, because I don't want to make him look too bad. I don't want to make him look too bad. See, I don't care about telling my truth, exposing the things that I did, and she was just like, it's gonna take the effect of helping people, and I was like, you know what, you're right about that. So I kept some things in the book, but yeah. Okay, so when I give my testimony, I just want to be clear that I'm not, when I talk about my past relationships, my failed marriages, I'm not trying to talk down on anybody, but I'm just trying to give my truth. God has called me to be honest about, this is my story. This is my journey. This is something that I had to deal with. I had to overcome shame, and a lot of different things. It is shameful. A lot of people wouldn't get in front of the camera and talk about, the foolish mistakes that I made in my journey with God. But if he had called me to be a voice and to be a testimony to other people, that's what I'm trying to be. Not trying to discredit or hurt anybody on my journey, because I know I have did a whole lot, and I'm not perfect, and God is still with me. So I just wanted to be clear on that. I don't have no ill intent to try to make anybody look bad. Just waiting on my turn to load the plane. Send a picture up in the group. I can't get the whole thing.
Hold on. Alright, so that's a new beach park that was built there where the people are and the water slides, and so that's the Harmony Beach Park. That's Harmony Beach Park.